Folks, good day to you one and all, and welcome to what is probably one of the most iconic circuits in the world, Spa-Francorchamps. Can you believe it? It's the probably the epitome of a motorsport to be at the Spa-Francorchamps, and you're going to be with NXTGEN Racing. And well, I think this is going to be probably one of the best that we have seen in the NXTGEN series so far, because well, it's been so good and so close up until now. So folks, that's where we're going to be. NXTGEN Racing GT3 Season 5 round number 3, and tonight is going to be a 2-hour race. We normally run the 25 minutes, then we do the invert grid, and the hour, well, tonight the 2-hour enduro, and that in the GT3s. They have been out on circuit for the better part of 40 minutes already, and everybody's had a chance to do some practice. There is no qualifying, so I take it they're going to start according to the points the way it is so far up until now, but that remains to be seen once we get the cars out on circuit. A big thanks to all of our sponsors. Well, these are the guys that make it possible for us to do what we do when we do, and we love the sport that we are taking part in. iRacing, probably one of the most iconic types of entertainment that's been created for motorsport lovers, so that we can do the sport that we love right at home. And that's what makes it so fantastic, is that it's a whole lot cheaper. You press escape, you press reset. Well, you might have lost a couple of friends in the interim, but believe you me, there is nothing like it. It's unrivaled right now in the that, shall we say, the entertainment world as such. So a big thanks to all of the sponsors that make it possible for us to do what we do. There you see the pit lane, and well, there's most of the guys that have put up the times already. The top 8 down to Jesse Wilkins, that's the leading silver class entry, all within 1 second of one another. Can you believe it? 1 second, and that on a 2-minute 17 lap in these GT3 cars. Let's have a look at what type of cars they're actually going to be. The Porsches and the BMs, 3 Audis that's going to be out there. And well, there's about 5 BMWs. Martin Hobson and Stuart Wyness, the first of the BMWs, and then 1 single Mercedes-Benz. Phil McDougall, that's the man with the sole Mercedes-Benz out there. So let's have a look at the fastest man. That is him, Stefan Wessels. Get to know that color scheme in the 27 car as he works his way around. He once again is the fastest man out there, but Mr. Kieran Swart, he's in the pit lane. He's there. He's quite happy. You see there's Benjamin McCliskey there as well. Gareth Gaza-Williams is in there. Martin Hobson, Stuart Wyness, Matthew McBride, Jesse Wilkins. Sean Skitter finds himself in the top 10, but that 1.1 seconds off. And then Mr. Nick Clibbins, 1.4 seconds off. So that's going to be your top guys out there. There's Nick Clibbins. He likes to have the shark effect on the front of his vehicle. And as the time ticks away, for those of you that have just joined us, where are we going to be? That is where we're going to be. It is Spa-Francorchamps. Now, is that not an iconic circuit? Starting off, you can see the start-finish line there on the left-hand side. going down through Eau Rouge, Radion, flat foot through Radion. We've had a lot of racing incidents that have happened there, and well, people that have passed away on that section of the circuit. The Kemmel Straight all the way through to Lake Calm, Malmedy, all the way down to Brussels. Brussels, you've got to be very hard on the brakes, doing a complete 180, coming back towards Speaker's Corner. Got to be careful you don't run too far towards the outside, up against the wall by Speaker's Corner. The double gaucher, that is a double left-hander. You've got to be almost feeling like you're too slow going into the corner to be able to get the hammer down in the middle of the double gaucher and then work it all the way through to Lefort, through Campus, Stavelot. That is, Campus is also very interesting. Stavelot, then the Paul Frere Straight, Blanchimont, flat foot all the way through Blanchimont with these GT3 cars, and then going into the chicane. The chicane also a reasonable spot to be able to do some passing maneuvers, but then you've got to be very, very good on the brakes going into that chicane because it's very, very tight. And the only way that you can beat somebody there is to pop up on the inside of them if they do not close that line off. I see Gareth Gazza Williams, he's out there as well. He's trying one more chance. He's on his way down the front main. And that's down towards Eau Rouge. Just 3 minutes to go. Gazza through Eau Rouge. Listen to that. Doesn't lift at all. You've got to turn in very early for the apex of that corner. Now he gets himself onto that Kemmel Straight, the long Kemmel Straight. If we're right on board with him, now you're going to come into a heavy braking marker. Watch the wall on the right-hand side to get your brake markers. Use a little bit of curbstone. Pull it to the left as quick as you can. Elongate, late apex. Use the curbstone. Flat foot. Now you're going to go down into the 180. And as you go through that 180, you've got to feed it through very nicely. Now, this is where you're going to be careful to go too far to the outside. Oh, he turned it in very easily and very early. And that scrubbed off lots and lots of speed for Gazza with that one. Now, listen to the throttle control as he works his way through. You're almost going too slow at this point. But from here, you run flat foot, 4th gear, 5th gear. Hold it there. Run it through the revs all the way in 5th gear. Close it down nice and neatly. Don't take too much curbstone there. You don't want to pick up points against you at that situation where you use a bit more curbstone. It's quicker, but then you get penalty points against you. Now you line it up on the outside. Now it's flat foot. 3rd gear. Keep on trucking. Let's see what kind of speeds he's going to pick up with just a minute to go. 5th gear. There you'll see that 4 with the green around it. That is where he is right now as he works his way down towards the start finish line. That's through Blanchimont. Now hard on the brakes. You can see now that's a passing possibility, but you see that sausage curb on the inside. You've got to be a little bit slow through the exit of the second section of the chicane so that you can get the hammer down early to get the pace as best as you can. Work it right towards the outside. Judge it that you turn it into the wall as tight as possible. No sausage curb on the outside. And off you go down the front main as well. So that's just a single lap with Gazza Williams. So far so good. They just got 20 seconds to go. Just about everybody has gone back into the pits. Just 1 or 2 guys here. Nice looking Audi. That lovely paint job that he's got on there. Jake is out there as well. Nick's still out there as well. Alwyn Sykes still out on track with a Ferrari. Nigel Stock working his way around, but they've realized the time is up. There's nowhere more to go at this stage of the fight. The warm-up comes to an end. So now it's going to be a case of let's see what does that grid look like. Well, there's your grid. Phil McDougall with Gazza Williams on the front row of the grid. Ulati and Weston from Belay. Mark Sykes, Benjamin McCliskey, the next man that's in there. Let's go a little bit further down. Bibot, Vessels, Stefan starting in 9th. James Smaggersgale, Stuart Wyness, Ben Ultra, Papa Constantine Papa Constantinau. I'm going to say that only once, and thereafter he'll be known by his first name, because you're never going to hear that out of my mouth again. We're just going to refer to him as Gabriel as they start getting themselves onto the grid. There you can see the balance of the grid. Alwyn Klebens down in 20th. Wesley Lewin, Jake Pitt, Luke Jones, all of these guys. And, well, it's not going to be an easy one, that is for sure. Let's have a look, see what it's going to look like. Oh, what a lovely looking grid that is. Let's have a look from upstairs and see what that one's going to look like. Well, it's just about all systems go as they come off the line. Gaza right there at the front. Nick Gibbons is there on that front section as well. Turns it in nice and neatly. Let's see if we can have a look from upstairs. That's what it looks like. And, well, the rest of the field looks like most everybody has made their way through without any problems. Nobody ending up on the outside of the circuit as our leaders work their way down. Gaza leads them through. And that is Rouge Radion. And now they are up into the Kemmel straight away. In that third position, Mr. Kieran Swartz in the house. Alan McCain is there as well. Having a look on the inside line. I think that's the BMW of Stuart Wyness. They side by side as they work their way into that corner. Very, very close. Look at that. Side by side. It's Benjamin McCluskey that's in there behind them. Then it's Ben Altria is the next man in there behind Benjamin McCluskey. Then the Porsches, Matthew McBride. That's the first of those two Porsches back-to-back. Sean Skitter directly behind him. Oh, we've got somebody that's gone off. That's Alan McCain. Alan McCain that's gone off. Let's go back to the front. That's Gaza. Gaza's leading them out. Can he do another session like what he did last week Thursday? We're about to find out as they work their way around. Nick Clibbins in there behind him. It's Kieran Smart, that's Stuart Wyness, that's Stevens Vessels, Martin Hobson, Benjamin McCluskey, Ben Altria having a look on the inside line. Matthew McBride as they work their way through that Porsche. See, Sean Skitter's got the South African flag on the side of his wing. Then it's George Belay. Then Matthew Cheverton. That's a high spot for Matthew Cheverton. Looking at how the first couple of rounds has gone for Matthew. Then it is Jake Pitt is the next man that's in there behind them. Lowlands Riegler, Tom Weston, Jesse Wilkins. They just keep on coming. What an amazing field as they start to spread themselves out just a little bit. Let's have a look at those intervals. Well, that's what the intervals look like. And the big fight right now is, in fact, Benjamin McCluskey on the back of the BMW of Martin Hobson. Let's, in fact, put those car logos in for you, and let's put the intervals alongside that. Oh, look at that. Clibbins up on that inside line. Is he going to be able to make it stick? No, sir. Gaza's going to hold them out. Gareth still leading them out as they work their way down towards Eau Rouge. Look at that. Just one long string of motor cars. Everybody getting through there quite fine as they work their way. Let's just go on board. Down into the dip. Heavy G-forces pulled across to the left-hand side. And off you go down the Kemmel Straight, going back towards the front end of the field. It's still Gaza that's doing a lovely job. Remember, this is a 2-hour race. 3 hours 12 is how long it's going to be. Well, sorry, 3 hours 12. 2 hours is the length of the race as such. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one's going to play itself out, because there is going to be lots of action out there on track. Let's have a look at some of that action that has actually happened so far. And let's have a look at that Nigel Stock incident that happened. No, we missed out on that one. Let's see if we can pick up Nigel Stock where he crashed. Nope, he's completely gone out of it. So we're not going to be able to pick up that one. Let's see if we can pick up the Alan McCain incident that happened. There's Alan McCain. Turns in quite fine. The back end gets away. And yep, that turns him around. So the sole Mercedes-Benz gets itself all knotted up, gets it right up against the wall, takes forever to get the bends going. Alwyn Sykes also had an incident. This is on the start-finish line, going down towards turn number 1 is young Alwyn. No, that didn't look too bad. I think that was all fine. There was nothing major that happened there. So let's go back to the live. There is Gaza that leads them out. Nick Clibbons ahead of Stefan Wessels, Benjamin McCliskey, Matthew McBride. He's having a good run so far, is Matthew. Look at that line astern. Well, we're riding with Matthew Cheverton. Let's see what it looks like as you work your way down Eau Rouge under the total board. Now, into Eau Rouge you go. Left, hard right. Keep your foot flat. Don't take too much curbstone. Make sure you don't go too far towards the outside line. Stick in that slipstream. 5th gear all the way. Keep the hammer down. Matthew Cheverton in 10th position. The second of the BMWs out there. Down towards the brake markers they go. Into that right-hander. Clicking all the way down to second. Get it to the left-hand side as quick as possible. Late apex. Use a bit of curbstone, not too much. Now you're coming down to that 180-degree bend. Brussels. Into Brussels you go. Play with the accelerator. Don't let it drift too wide because you've got to pull it all the way to the right-hand side. Turn it in pretty early so that you don't go too wide up against the wall. Now listen to the way he plays with the throttle going through here. Nice and smooth. Now from there, bang, on the gas, in 4th gear, all the way, hold it all the way out, up into 5th gear. And that's just a part of the lap of the second BMW out there in that 10th position. Nothing much in it. So how's Kieran Smart doing up front? Well, Kieran Smart is keeping the pressure on Gaza. That's the gap between the two of them. The next biggest battle thereafter is basically Sean Skitter. That's in behind Ben Africa. Ben Africa holding him out pretty neatly. This is towards the end of the lap. You'll take that left-hander. Use the curb. Don't go a little bit too wide there. Line it up. Straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. Hard on the brakes all the way down. Now you can play with the accelerator in first, or you can use that second gear at Jake Pitt staying just ahead of him in the 13 car. Jake Pitt, will he close that line off? No, he doesn't. Jake Pitt does not close that line off, and that's probably going to cost him the full tilt entry. Drops one down, and they swap positions. So I suppose you could expect that. Ben Altria right in there. Who is going to lift off? Is either of them going to lift off? Oh, you can't do that through Eau Rouge. How did they get through there? Well, that leading Audi, you can see it. It's a beautiful looking car. It's got the 21 that's directly behind him, and the 10 car that's in there behind him as well. And that's going to be a change-up of positions directly behind him. Cheverton is going to go one down. Sean Skitter right in there as well. Oh, they make a bit of contact, and that's going to take all three of them out. The 21 car being involved in that as well, and that was Sean Skitter. So he gets that one sorted out. That's a wholly better for him, and I think he'll be quite fine with it now. And it's a case of now just calm down to a mild panic. Don't get overexcited with it. And let's see how it's going to play itself out. They're still busy fighting for that position. Nick Clibbons has decided that Mr. Kieran Swart is close enough to the front runner. Ooh, using a whole lot of track is Nick Clibbons, the shark man. He's there in that third position. Let's have a drive on board and see what it's like on board with Nick Clibbons. Up into that 5th gear. Let's have a look at that dashboard. 230 kilometers an hour. Up into 6th, 240. Does he lift off? Not at all. Keeps it buried in the corner. Sixth gear, 257 kilometers an hour. Now you're going to scrub all that from 250 down to literally 70 kilometers an hour. That is a lot of kilometers that you're wiping away there through the start-finish line. Riding on board with the man in a third position, coming nice and close to the wall. Gazza's coming under pressure. Kieran's getting a whole lot closer. Kieran's actually closed that gap up and said to him, listen, bud, you better get a move on. Down in the dip they go. The front two are so close to one another. Maybe we can pick up. Nope, it's going to be behind the trees. Blimp, unfortunately, in the wrong position. The blimp moves around all night long. And Kieran's gone to the front. Kieran's got that inside line as they're coming to the brake markers. Mr. Kieran Swartz has gone to the front end of the field, just ahead of Gaza. Behind that is Nick Clibbins. Now, Stefan Wessels started in 9th position. Wessels is in the house, the man that has been the man to catch for most of the races so far for Next Gen Racing so far this season. And he's getting closer, but Mr. Consistency, Benjamin McCliskey's right in there. Although Benjamin, I can remember that number, 2.2 seconds off the back of Stefan Wessels. Now, you're probably going to find that Stefan Wessels will be able to close the gap to the back end of the Sharkman, Nick Clibbins. Matthew McBride just a little bit further back. He's got Martin Hobson all over his back bumper. Ben Atria has dropped a little bit back, but he stays ahead of Matthew Cheverton, who's done very well so far as opposed to his previous showings. Matthew Cheverton in the Aztec Racing entry, holding on to that 9th position. Now, he's got a bit of a gap between himself and the Porsche of Lawrence Wiegler. Now, Lawrence is normally pretty quick out there. I don't think Vlieger's going to be happy with that 10th position. I think he would want to expect by now to be a bit further forward, and that man's giving him a hard time. He is all over the back bumper. Is he going to try and go for a passing maneuver as they go down towards the last two corners, the 90-degree right and 90-degree left? Nope, he goes up onto the back bumper of the 7 car. Gets on the gas just a little bit quicker. That's what it's all about. Just being a little bit lighter on the gas as you come through the second part. And that's what brings him right up onto the back bumper. Trying to put the pressure on Jesse Wilkins, on Lawrence Vlieger. They find themselves in 10th and 11th position. The leading Audi following through down the hill underneath the total bridge past the pits on the right hand side, up that climb. That's where that massive accident was, where the young lad was killed about 2 years ago. Out into the front main, nothing much between the two of them. Goes towards that inside line. Can he pull that one off? I think he can, if he can make that brake marker. Yes, he does. Jesse Wilkins moves ahead of Ben Altria, or should I say Ben Altria, then Jesse Wilkins. But Lawrence Vlieger is right in there as well. Ian Manners. Mark Sykes is in there as well. Marky Mark in the 666. There he goes, Mark Sykes, the man from Next Gen Racing. The man that sends me all the necessary information. The Mercedes-Benz going to be coming past him now. That's Phil McDougall. Phil McDougall's actually done quite well, because remember, he was involved in that incident earlier on, was Phil. And that dropped him a long way down. So he's actually done pretty well to be where he is right now, I would tend to think. So, has anybody been into the pits yet? No. Only Bibiot, Jake Pitt, and David Favo. Smaggersgale is out of it in the 5th of the 5 Audis that have been entered. And Nigel Stockwell, he must have had a bit of a problem earlier on, because he finds himself a long way down. Ulati has had an incident. Let's see what happened to Ulati. As we look up on that inside line, they make contact. Both of them spin. The pending systems. Oh, where do you go from here? The traffic just keeps on coming. Don't want to damage the front end of the car. And Alessandro Ulati gets that car going again. It was Belay that went off the track with him at that point. So both of them lost quite a bit of ground. Let's go back to the front end. Oh, look at this. Kieran Swart, he's holding out. And there comes Stefan Wessels. Stefan Wessels just made the passing maneuver there on Nick Clevens. He was in the slipstream. Oh, they almost made contact. There wasn't much between them. Nick Clevens decided, let him go. It's not going to help. And Matthew McBride has just had a big off. Let's see what happened with Matthew McBride. He was just a little bit further back. He was in that 16th position. He just overruns the corner completely, does Matthew McBride. Where do you go from there? Well, you got to keep on going, so you can't reverse back from there. And, well, he just kicks completely out of it. He says, that's not going to work for me. Ben Altria still involved in that fight. It looks like Phil's all over the back of Ian Manners, having a look around on the outside. That double right-hander, double gaucher. As they work their way through the double gaucher, let's have a look at the battle box and see how it looks in front of him. There we go. Phil McDougall up 8 positions. Ian also up 8 positions. Lawrence Vlieger up 4 positions. That's the battle that we're looking at there for 12th, 11th and 10th positions. They're starting to spread out just a little bit at the front end of the field. So let's go from the top end down and have a look, see the gains and the losses to date as this field works their way around. Kieran Smart, Mr. Kieran Smart, up 5 positions. Gaza starting in that pole position, drops down in the 90. Next Gen Porsche into that 2nd place. Stefan Wessels from 9th all the way up into that third, must have been 8th position because he's gone up 5. As Stefan Wessels, Porsche, all the way through. Nick Clevens through the dip. Al Rouge up the other side in towards the Kemmel Straight is Nick Clevens. He's down 1 position. He started on the 2nd row of the grid. He's just dropped down 1. There is Benjamin McCluskey. There comes Martin Hobson in the BMW. Then Matthew Cheverton is having a lovely race. He's ahead of Ben Altria. Then this group behind, that's Jesse Wilkins, Lawrence Riegler, Ian Manners, Phil McDougall in there behind him. Stuart Wyness trying to hold out on Mark Sykes. Mark Sykes having a look to see if he can pop it up on the inside. Decides to back out. The 666 Next Gen inside the top 15. A bit of a gap back to Sean Skitter. He's 3 positions down in yet another Porsche. Hopefully didn't get any points against him for that one. See, he's also got a SA flag on the wing. Then outside of the top 15 and quite a long way further back is Wesley Lewin. Alwyn Sykes on his back bumper. Alan McCain that had the spin. Bit of a gap through to Luke Jones. Then it is Tom Weston. Papa Constantino. I'm going to get that one right eventually. And then we'll use his whole name. But until we get that 100%, we're going to call him Gabriel. Because that's his first name. Gabriel Papa Constantino. Ulati that had that problem earlier on. Remember those 2 cars that spun together? He's down in 22nd. So he had made up a good couple of positions and then lost all those positions. Now finds himself 1 further down. Giorgio Belay, well, he won't be happy with that. 13 positions down. And I do know that Belay was involved in an incident. Let me see if I can pick up that incident for you. I think he could have been the 2nd car in that in the 180. I don't see an incident specifically for him, so I do think that he was probably the second car that was involved with that spin. Alan McCain is, I think, very disappointed with the way this one is. 15 positions down, starting in second position. But let's go and ride with our boys up front, because Stefan Wessels is starting to put the pressure on. He is all over the back bumper of Gaza. And now Gaza has got Kieran ahead of him as well. Gaza that started in pole, now in second. Gaza that's gone 5 positions up, so he started third of the grid on the outside. But Stefan Wessels now putting the pressure on. How far behind him is Nick Klibbens? Visually, there you can see back to Nick Klibbens. So Klibbens starting to lose out just a little bit on this three-way battle up front. Will Stefan Wessels go for the dive? I think he's a little bit too far back at this stage of the fight. Let's get a slightly better view from inside the car. I think let's go to, there we go. Nice and neatly on the curbstones. Ease the gas in now. Heavy foot all the way from here. Bury your foot on that accelerator. Use that pedal in your right hand. Kieran Smart. Not that far ahead of them. Just 0.6 of a second. Down into the second last corner they go. Will Wessels have a look this time around? He lines it up, but nope. Gaza is good enough on the brakes to hold him out. Stay away from the sausage curb. Look at that. Gaza getting on the gas a little bit quicker than Mr. Kieran Swart. So that's the battle that is happening up front with the front three. Where is Nick? There's Nick Klibbens. Benjamin McCliskey, the next man behind that, Martin Hobson. Then Matthew Cheverton's lost out ground, but he's in 7th position. Ahead of Ben Altria, Jesse Wilkins, Lawrence Wiegler, Stuart Wyness, Phil McDougall, Ian Manners, as fast as you can say them. There comes Marky Mark. Mark Sykes. He's closing up on the back end of Manners and McDougall is Sykes. Let's have a look at the last lap times and how that one plays it out. Yep, look at that. A 2 minute 19.8 for Marky Mark. And that as opposed to the 2 minute 20.1. So 3/10 Sykes has taken out of Manners. But I do believe that Manners is probably being held up just a little bit, because the leading and only Mercedes-Benz out there is directly in front of him, and that is that man, Phil McDougall. Remember, he had that off earlier on. Ahead of McDougall is in fact Stuart Wyness in the Track Scotland entry, coming through there nice and neatly. Keep an eye on the gap on the left hand side with Stefan Wessels. There is literally 1/1000th of a second on the last lap between those two men, that being Kieran Smart and Gaza Williams. 2 minute 19.037, 2 minute 19.036. Well, it's got to be motivational, because at the end of the day you are actually catching up, but by 1/1000th of a second it ain't going to work for you. Stefan Wessels now going to launch another attack. Let's see, can he make it stick this time as they come down to the last complex of corners? Looks for that inside line, but nope, it's not going to be. But remember, if they don't hold one another up, this man is going to battle. Nick Klibbens, 1.9, and now he's got Benjamin McCliskey in there behind him. Let's ride on board with Benjamin. Benjamin McCliskey on the back of Nick the Sharkman Klibbens. Tries to get run up the inside. Nope, that's not going to work. Chances of making a passing maneuver in this downhill section here, very unlikely. All you can do literally is put it hard up against the wall, turn in early, turn in medium, turn in as quick as you can. Oh, you see how that curbstone throws you out. And now they get themselves up alongside one another. Can he make it stick? Look at that. They're right next to one another, and Nick's going to give it away. Benjamin McCliskey is going to go to the front. of that little two-way battle. So Nick Cuban says, well, I'll stick around to fight another day. It's not the total end of the world. Because remember, for Nick Cubans, he has got a little bit of a gap between himself and the next man. There is Martin Hobson, the leading BMW of Martin Hobson, Matthew Cheverton. Well, either he's had a lot of bad luck in the races that I've seen him in, or all is going very well for him today, because that is the best that I've seen of Matthew Cheverton. Yes, he's 8 seconds further down, but he's still in 7th position, and there are another 20 cars behind Matthew Cheverton. Ben Altria. Well, Ben Altria is the leading Audi from the second Audi out on circuit. Jesse Wilkins, who's in 9th position. Lawrence Vliega in yet another Porsche. Remember, the top 5 is Porsche, 6 and 7 is BMW, 8 and 9 is Audi. Then it's a total mixture from there. The only Mercedes-Benz is in fact a Phil McDougall. The CXR Project Black. That's out there. And Phil McDougall. As he works his way underneath the DHL bridge, starting to get a little bit lonely. Alwyn Sykes a little bit further back. He is up 9 positions, is Alwyn Sykes. I think he'll be pretty okay with that one. Let's get that interval up for you there. And we'll take that one away. There we go. That'll give us a little bit more space. So the last lap times, 2 minute 18, looks to be 2 minute 18.2. Oh, Stefan Wessels. Oh, we got to go and have a look at that one. Stefan Wessels is going for the lead. Stefan Wessels is going to do the move on Mr. Kieran Swart. Gaza started in pole, finds himself now in a 3rd position, but a very strong 3rd position. Because if we go to Benjamin McCliskey and we're right on board with Benjamin, look at the gap that he's got to make up. Now remember, Benjamin McCliskey, 2 minute 18.4. The front man, Stefan Wessels, was quicker than him. Kieran was slower than him. So was Gaza. So it looks to me like Stefan Wessels will probably get away at the front. Kieran and Gareth Gaza, I think they'll probably pretty much stick together. I do think that McCliskey will probably close on them. McCliskey is up 3 positions. We'll see next time they come around what the gap is between him and Gaza. Remember, with the incidents that's happened in the last little bit now, Gaza could have lost a little bit of time because of that. So once they complete yet another lap while we ride aboard with Benjamin McCliskey. Oh, just look at that 3 cars in front of him. He must be dying to go and fetch them right in front of him, close enough that he could see then. Nick Cubans just a little way behind him. There's some space back to Nick Cubans. And if Benjamin comes across the line, right, let's see what kind of lap times has now been put up. Has Benjamin been quick enough to close up? Stefan probably going to be the fastest man out there. Yep, at 2 minutes 18.082. 8 tenths quicker than Kieran. Kieran being closed down by Gaza, but yes, because of the passing maneuver. 2 minutes 18.5. So Benjamin McCliskey has not been able to close up with this one. Nick Cubans from Martin Hobson. Matthew Cheverton is on his way down the hill. He's now 9 seconds off the back end. Martin Hobson's already disappeared up the other side of the hill. Let's ride on board with Ben Altria. Can he close that gap up? Altria in that 8th position on the back end of 7th. Matthew Cheverton. Remember, Cheverton we said was 7 seconds behind. Then we said he was 8 seconds behind. He's now 9.6. Is Cheverton off the back end of Hobson. So Hobson doesn't have to worry about what's going on behind him, because Cheverton is slowly but surely doing slower lap times and losing ground. He's the first of the races to do a 2-minute 19. Everybody ahead of him was in the 2-minute 18. But keep in mind, at 2-minute 19.4, he's just about quick enough to stay ahead of everybody else behind him. So Matthew having the race of his life at this stage of the fight. Having said that, Stuart Wyness, he is right in there with that, the third of the BMWs out there. Stuart Wyness, 0.3 of a second off at 2-minute 18.6. That's very much on a similar and or same pace to the front runners. So Stuart having a pretty good time of it at this stage of the fight. He's 0.4 off the back of Lawrence Vlieger. Vlieger is closing up big time on the back of Klebens. Now, Klebens won't be happy with that because Nick Klebens is already down 6 positions. He started in third. He's dropped down 6 positions. He's now got Lawrence Vlieger right on his back bumper and looking to try and make the passing maneuver if I look at the way he's going there. In fact, he's going to go for that inside line onto the inside of Klebens. Klebens must just hold his line very neatly. They'll run side by side. But while that is on the go, Stuart Wyness comes through as well. And he tries to make up a position. So Vlieger goes down 1. Wyness goes up 1. And it's now Wyness. Oh, there we go. Into the pits is Nick Klebens. He's one of the very first that has gone into the pit lane. Let's see what it looks like if we're right on board with Nick Klebens as you work your way down the pits. This will feel like forever, all the way down. Now remember, that is alongside the straight as you come out of La Source. Stops in his pit bay. Let's just see what it's going to feel like. We are 30 minutes into this 2-hour race. How long is he going to be standing there? Alwyn Sykes has gone past. Tom Weston has gone past. Klebens is coming to the pits now. And, well, oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. The way that you sit there and you just wait and wait and wait. Right, there he gets out of the pits. Let's see what was the pit time that he was standing dead still. 23.6 seconds. So the one stop that has to be done by Nick Klebens, he has done that. Drops him all the way down to that 23rd position. But it's not a train smash, because remember, Nick Klebens had only 4 or 5 cars in front of him before he went in. Everybody in front of him, apart from that McCliskey, Williams, Smart and Vessels battle, all of that is in fact people that still have to go into the pits, as Ben Altria still trying on the back of Matthew Cheverton. Cheverton now 9.9 off the back of Martin Hobson. So no pressure for Hobson at this stage of the fight. He knows that it's a struggle royal for Matthew Cheverton at this stage of the fight to hold on to that position. But with Klebens going into the pits, that's moved Matthew 1 position up. He's now in that 6th. He was in 7th position, so he's now 1 position further up. Phil McDougall just a little bit further back. I remember Phil is one of 2 Mercedes-Benz out there. Him and Alan McCain were the 2 that originally started with the Mercedes-Benz. And I think he fancies that SLK. He likes that one. It kind of works for him. Does Phil. Ian not that far behind him. There comes Ian. In there behind that, Sean Skitter. Yet another Porsche. Then Mark Sykes. Mark is holding sway and still putting pressure on the back end of Sean Skitter. Wesley has dropped quite a long way back. There comes Wesley from Alan McCain, Tom Weston, Alwyn Sykes, Luke Jones in there behind them as well. There he comes out into the straight. And then Alessandro Ulati is the man that rounds out the top 20. So we're 33 minutes into the 2 hours of this race. The circuit that we are at is the Spa-Francorchamps. Look at that. What an amazing circuit. Just look at the names. La Source, Eau Rouge, Radion, Lacon, Bruxelles, Campus, Stavelot. I mean, it's all amazing stuff that you know. And a big thanks to all of our sponsors that have made this one possible for us. A big thanks to Sam Cases, Higgins Motorsport, Douglas Motorsport, Benji Sim Photos, Motorsport Esports UK, Mark Sykes Designs, PowerMax in the house as well, and then also Joyce Designs. A big thanks to all of those people that put their money where their mouth is and make this racing possible for us. Back to the racing we go. And Stefan Wessels is not getting away at the front end of the pack. There's Stefan Wessels. In there behind him is Kieran Smart. Behind Kieran is Gaza. A little bit further back, Benjamin McCluskey, Martin Hobson. Matthew now not sliding further back from Martin Hobson. I think Matthew Cheverton has got a bit of confidence going at the moment now. He's decided, hold on a second, I can make a plan with this one. I can actually hold on to that 6. Seeing that, Nick Clibbins has done a pit stop already. Obviously, when Nick comes, when Matthew goes into the pits, you'll probably find that Nick's then going to jump him. But that's a long time to go. 2 hours is a long time. Ben Altria still not been able to find a way around Matthew Cheverton. Jesse Wilkins making sure that he stays ahead of Stewart. Behind that, Phil McDougall, Lawrence Viegler. That's a nice little battle that's been going on between the two of them. You think how long they've been pretty much bumper to bumper. That's a lovely little battle that. It's always nice when you're involved with that kind of situation. Ian Manners in that 12th position. Rounding out the Dirty Dozen from Sean Skitter. Skitter in that 21 car. Mocky Mark right in there behind him. Mark's not been able to, well, he's got away from Wesley. Wesley's 11 seconds behind him, but not been able to really do much more than that. He's pretty much pacing himself to stay in there. And there's not a lot of people that have been in. Let's have a look at the laps that they came in. Lap 2, lap 4, lap 5, lap 7. So that's not wanting to go into the pits, but have to go into the pits. Those guys might have to make another pit stop. I'm not sure what the size of the pit window is, but Nick Clibbins going in on lap 13. I think it was out of choice. I think that the window is big enough, and you will probably find that Nick Clibbins does not have to go back into the pits again, having yet another look. Trying up the Kemmel Straight to close that gap into Lake Calm. The Audi following through on the BMW. Jesse right in there behind them. Down towards Bruxelles. It's closed up in the full tint Audi pretty neatly. But catching somebody is one thing, going past is another. If you think Matthew Cheverton is up 9 positions, so that car and this track definitely suits Matthew Cheverton in the 390, 9 positions up. Holding on to them is Jesse Wilkins. Oh, Stefan Wessel has just put up the fastest lap. 2 minutes 17.975. Only 2 people that have broken into the below the 2 minute 18 barrier so far, and that is Mr. Kieran, who's done very well this time around. I must say he's 4 positions up. Stefan Wessels 7 positions up, even better than that, as we watch this fight with Jesse Wilkins on the back end of those two very quick cars in front of him. Oh, he just hammers it through the gears. Gets on the gas pretty quickly. Possibility. What does Altria do? Does he close off that inside line? No, I think he's quite comfortable. He's far enough ahead. Oh, the tail end wanted to step out on him. He didn't get the power down straight away. Did Ben Altria, and that's why Jesse Wilkins has closed right up onto the back of him as they work their way through. Look how close they are as they work their way out onto the Kemmel Straight. That's the beginning of the Kemmel Straight. You can see the blimpers now move. Now dive towards the inside. Oh, he makes that look so easy. Jesse Wilkins past Altria. Wow. Maybe Ben Altria thought, listen, I'm not going to fight you any further. You're definitely a little bit quicker than what I am. Maybe I'll just rather let you go and follow you. Sean Skitter on his way coming out of the pits. You'll see there's a couple of cars that's in the pits at the moment. There's Tom Weston. There is Alwyn Sykes. He's going to start up and get on his way out of the pits. James Smaggersgale, he's in there as well. The guys on their way out being Tom Weston and Alwyn Sykes. They nose to tail as they work their way out. You can't go across that blend line. You've got to stay on the inside of that blend line. And while Stefan Wessels leads out by half a second, Kieran Smart, as the petrol load gets lighter, he has put in the fastest lap time at 2 minutes 17.694. So, yeah, the times are just tumbling at this stage of the fight. And I do believe as they have driven for a longer period of time on the circuit, you're going to find that you'll get more accustomed to it, although eventually the getting tired comes into play. But initially, not too much of a train smash. Right now, you're so fired up. Nick Clibbins, a man that's been in and out of the pits at 2 minutes 18.9, a little bit on the slow side. He needs to get just a bit quicker than that, but that's quicker than most of the next 6, 7, 8 guys in front of him. So that should sort of do it for now. Talking about sort of doing it for now, Mr. Kieran Smart sort of doing it all day long. 42 minutes in, and he's going to have a look at the back of Stefan Wessels. He's actually pressurizing Stefan Wessels, having put in that 2/10 quicker lap time. He's closed right up onto the back of Stefan. And it's not because Stefan's gone any slower. Let's have a look at, that's the best times. Let's have a look at the last time and look at that 200ths of a second between the two of them. So is Kieran Smart trying to make a move to get past Stefan Wessels, or is he pacing himself to be able to pull the slipstream here and there, take it easier through the corners, save the tires, use the slipstream to not fall off? He's within 5 to 6 tenths of a second. Don't fight one another, because in doing that, that's the man that's affected. Gareth Gaza is now 3 seconds off because the guys in front of him aren't fighting it out. And as long as they don't fight it out, they've got the pace. They did get past him. He did start on the front row of the grid. Benjamin McCluskey not yet been able to do the close-up. Now, Benjamin was 3/10 quicker on the last lap. No, Martin Hobson, in fact, was a little bit quicker. Benjamin McCluskey, Martin Hobson was a bit slower. 2 minutes 18.2. So McCluskey is closing on Gaza. But still quite a bit of work to be done to get all the way to there. Stuart Wyness is starting to have a bit of fun because he's not that far now behind Ben Altria. And Jesse just in front of that, Jesse Wilkins. And Wilkins sitting right on the back of Cheverton, who's holding on to that 6th position. There's that battle just in front. Cheverton from Wilkins, from Altria, from a Wyness. That brings up the bottom end. Whoopsie, somebody's gone into the pits. Who was that? That's Ben Altria. Altria has gone into the pit lane, and now that long, lonely drive as you work your way down the pit lane. Ben Altria is in, Lawrence Vliega has come in, Ian Manners has come in. Dive into the pit box. Up onto the jacks it goes. And now you sit and wait. Well, he's there behind the wall, so we'll move away from that one. So it's Lawrence Vliega and Ian Manners is the other two that's sitting there behind the wall. Let's go back to Matthew. Matthew's now 10 seconds. Eventually, it broke the 9-second mark to Martin Hobson. But I don't think he's too worried about the gap between himself and Martin Hobson, because I think for Matthew Cheverton to be in a solid 6th position and hold that 6th position, he is the second fastest of the beamers out there. Hobson, that's just ahead of him, is the fastest of the beamers out there. Oh, got a bit of a wiggle as you went into that 180-degree corner, well-known corner, Brussels, through Speaker's Corner. Down the hill they go towards the double gauche. Cheverton leading out from Jesse Wilkins and Stuart Wyness. Stuart will fancy his chances to maybe close up onto the back, but if you think about it, Jesse Wilkins has been in there behind Matthew Cheverton for an extended period of time already. So if he could have made the move, I'm pretty sure he would have done it by now. I don't think he's got that extra bit of pace. Lawrence Vliega coming under pressure now from Jake Pitt. Lovely little sticker job on the car of Jake Pitt. They are in 13th and a 14th position. Reasonable gap from Lawrence Vliega to the back end of Ben Altria. But these two, Jake Pitt, all over the back of Lawrence Vliega. Porsche versus Porsche. The man from Wales, Jake Pitt. Oh, look at that. The pit lane is buzzing, and they've all gone in. All the big boys have gone in. Gareth Gaza-Williams, Martin Hobson, Benjamin McCliskey, Stuart Wyness, they all in there. Stefan Wessels is in as well, who's going to be the first man that's going to be able to come out. Only Kieran has stayed out. Looks like Stefan Wessels. Stefan Wessels is the first man to go to the pit exit. Who's going to be the next one? Will it be Gaza? Yep, but he's not going to be able to. It's going to be Gaza that's going to be coming out. Then it will be Benjamin McCliskey. Then it's going to be Martin Hobson. Stuart Wyness is still there in the pits, and Matthew Cheverton. Oh, they all come flying out there now. And Matthew Cheverton has lost out in the pits. There's no doubt that you'll be disappointed with that. Jesse Wilkins managed to get past him as they all come piling out of the pit lane. Marky Mark is on his way out of the pit lane as well. He'll come into view around about now. There be Marky Mark as he works his way down towards Eau Rouge. So let's have a look, see who has been in and who has not been into the pit so far. We're 48 minutes into this 2-hour race. Kieran Smart is the only man that has not yet been into the pits. Let's have a look, see whereabouts does Kieran find himself. That number 1, that is Kieran Smart. Is he going to go into the pits now? Yes, he does. So the next man to come through is going to be that man, Stefan Wessels. There you can see the number 2. Still a long, long way back. Going to give Kieran enough time to get in and out of the pits. Will Stefan be able to get past? Where is Kieran? There, Kieran still on the jacks. Where's Stefan? Here comes Stefan going through the last section of Blanchimont. Where is Stefan? Kieran. Oh, he's still on the jacks. He's got to get out of there. Stefan Wessels. Here he comes into the front straight. Kieran Smart's got to get off the jacks. He's got to get out. He's off the jacks, but he's not out. Where's Stefan Wessels? Here comes Stefan Wessels. Kieran is going to lose out on that position. There, Kieran comes off the line now. And, well, when he comes through, probably going to be ahead of Gareth Williams. There comes Kieran. There comes Gareth in the background. Gaza. Behind Gaza is Benjamin. Then it's Martin Hobson. All of them in the same shot. Now, Nick Clibbins is only now coming into that straight. So he's a long way back. Matthew Cheverton was in 6th. Now in 7th. Oh, that's why he's one down. Remember, Nick Clibbins went in earlier. And when Cheverton went in, Nick Clibbins, who'd had open ground in front of him, then had the opportunity to recover that 6th position, drops Matthew Cheverton down. And once again, Matthew sits with a whole bunch of cars behind him. Look at that. Jesse Wilkins, Stewart up on the inside of Jesse. Can Stewart make that one hold? Yes, he does. Stuart Wyness ahead now of Jesse Wilkins. You see the 3rd car behind that, Ben Altria. Jake 5 seconds further back. He'll probably not come into view in that specific camera shot. So Matthew Cheverton, well, he knows how to keep them behind him. That is for sure. Let's just listen to the accelerator. As he works his way down nice and smooth all the way through the double gauche. Now flat on the gas, and that's what he sees behind him. Well, I tell you what, he's had a very good run up until now. There's no doubt Matthew Cheverton deserves all the airtime in the 390 car, but Stuart Wyness is now starting to put the pressure on. Stuart Wyness has done the pass on Jesse Wilkins. And I wouldn't be surprised if he makes up some more. Let's have a look at that passing maneuver. There it was as he came down the Kemmel Straight. Went up on the inside. Held on to that one very neatly. And that is where he made up that last position. So he's looking pretty strong at this stage of the fight. So 51 minutes in. Let's go from the top end of the field down. Well, top end of the field's just gone down into the dip, up over the rise, Mr. Stefan Wessels, and he finds himself 4 seconds. And I don't think it'll be a problem for him to stay there. I think that he'll stay where he is and probably stretch it. There comes Gaza, Benjamin, Martin's in the house as well. He's not losing out whatsoever. Martin Hobson, the leading BMW. Let's go a little bit further back. Nick Clibbins, keep an eye on that gap, 12.7. Matthew, for once, is forced to close that line off because here comes Stuart Wyness. Stuart's forced to have a look on the outside. Is he deep enough in? Well, he's going to try and force it, but Cheverton having nothing of that. Well, he just says, Wyness, you stay behind me and keep Jesse Wilkins behind you, and then Ben Altria as well. I think probably the best view of that little battle is going to be from Ben's car. There's the cars directly in front of him. Jesse Wilkins, Stuart Wyness. They're all right there. Nothing much between them whatsoever. Very, very smooth, all 4 of them. See the way he dials in the power, very smoothly. Very seldom that you see Ben doing any kind of oversteer at all that he has to correct it. It's very smooth on the gas. No lift off whatsoever. Just time the apex correctly. Stewart wanting to have a look once again. Stewart wants to go to the front. There's no doubt about it. He knows. Oh, well, commentators curse. I just said very seldom with him being so smooth on the gas, him being Ben Altria, that he has to go with a bit of opposite lock. There we go. Back to normal. Nice and smooth. Martin Hobson. Wow, he's got to be an option for one of the drivers of the day alongside Matthew Cheverton, given what they've done in round 1 and round 2. This being a round number 3, Spa-Francorchamps, the iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. 55 minutes into it. Martin Hobson holding on to that 5th position without much problem whatsoever. He started in 4th, he's gone 1 down. Benjamin has got past him, but Benjamin has not got away from him. And Benjamin has not been able to do anything about Gaza either. Gareth started on the front row of the grid, and he got the whole shot down into turn number 1, which was all good. He did everything he could to hold out, but Stefan and Kieran, well, they are probably the class act in the field, let's be honest. The two of them are very smooth, very accurate, very consistent. But then again, if you want to talk about consistency, Mr. Consistency, Benjamin McCliskey. And seeing everybody's done their stops, let's have a look at the last lap times. All of them in the 18s, all the way down to Nick Clemens. I remember I said I don't believe Nick Clemens is going to be able to encroach on the front group of cars. It's now 13.5 seconds that Nick Clemens finds himself off the back end of Martin Hobson. And I don't see that is going to change, because on average, let's have a look at the best lap time of Nick Clemens. 2 minutes 18.995, 5 thousandths of a second inside of that magical 2 minute 19, and that's only on 1 lap that he's been able to do it. Consistently, the top 5 are running in the 18s. 18.6, 18.5, 18.7, 18.5, 18.5. They're all right in there on very much the same markers. It looks like Jake has gone into the pit lane. Yep, there he comes in now. Is that a second stop? Yes, it is. It's the second time that Jake Pitt comes in. Marky Mark says, thanks very much. Have a nice day. I'll just pop past here. So, yeah, that's going to cost him pretty dearly. Let's see when last he was in. Well, it's now lap 24 that is in. It doesn't show us when the first time was. And I think the first one was around about lap number 4, somewhere around there, that he was in the pits. That might mean that Nick Clemens actually has to then go back into the pits again, because he was around about lap 13, if I remember correctly, flashing the lights. Ben Altria saying, man, you got to keep going, Guzzy, because I got pressure from behind. Ben Altria on the back end of Jesse Wilkins. Next man behind that is James Smaggersgale in the 660. He's 16 positions down. Hasn't worked very well for him whatsoever. Won't be happy with that. But all you can do is your best. Down in 19th position, we've got Wesley Lewin. Wesley Lewin on the back end of Ulati. But you remember Ulati had hassles earlier on. I think Nick Clemens is really pushing it very hard to try and hang in with them. Look at that, using all the track and more. Now that is actually 1 point that is against you. And if you end up with too many penalty points against you, you've actually got to go and do a run in through the pits without stopping, a drive-through penalty as they know it, and then out the other side. So all things being equal, I think that you've got to be very careful not to have too many of those. That's the tightest fight out there right now. Wesley Lewin from Ulati in 18th and 19th position. Sean Skitter not that far behind in yet another Porsche. Being closed down now by Jake Pitt. Balai is 7 seconds further back. Bibiot in 23rd, trying to make up some positions. Let's go back more towards the front end of the field as we are half a minute away from halfway through this race. Benjamin McCliskey. Benjamin consistency. I hope that's not going to cause him to have an accident, because 9 out of 10 times the commentator's curse comes once. Oh, very wide. It's Martin Hobson in the BMW, the leading BMW out there. Let's just put the logos up again that you can see that, and let's move the intervals alongside that. Porsche, 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 BMW, Porsche, BMW. Jesse Wilkins, that's done pretty well. He is the leading Audi out there. Not that far behind Stuart Wyness, but I think Stuart Wyness is probably going to be getting away from him. I wouldn't be surprised if the last lap of Stuart Wyness is a touch quicker than Cleveland's. Yeah, when you make statements like that, you've got to be very careful, because they very often prove you wrong. Let's see. 2 minute 19.1, 2 minute 19.0. Well, almost a tenth in it. So yes, he is closing just a little. Stuart Wyness closing on the back end of Nick Cleveland's, but 5.5 seconds at a tenth a lap. It's not going to work. There's not enough time for a tenth a lap. You've got to eat away a little bit more than that. Talking about eating away, Martin Hobson's decided the only way to eat the elephant is one bite at a time. And it's working for him, because Hobson is in the top 5, following through on Benjamin McCliskey through Eau Rouge. You'll see the curbstones on the entrance to Eau Rouge is a lot rougher than the other 3 sets of curbstones that you touch, and you can hear that in the sound when the tires go over those curbstones. They are much smoother. It's not as aggressive. There you can hear the sounds. That one's also very smooth. That one's reasonably smooth down towards that 180 degree turn that catches everybody out. Bruxelles, if you go in there with a Porsche, the rear mounted rear wheel drive, lots of weight at the back, and you gear down too aggressively while you're on the brakes, then it tends to swap ends, and the back end leads you towards the scene of the accident. The 2 sister cars in front of him, Benjamin McCliskey and Gareth Gaza-Williams. Are they riding shotgun for one another? No, I just think they are pretty much on the same pace as one another, and for that reason, don't fight each other. Just keep on trucking, and like that we can stay then ahead of Martin Hobson. That's on a very, very strong run. Is Martin Hobson. He's only 1 position down. He started in 4th. He's now in 5th position, but he's had a very good run. We're an hour and 2 minutes into this 2-hour race. And I think it's time to say a big thanks to our sponsors. So big thanks to all our sponsors. We come back to you, and we are on board with Martin Hobson. Martin all over the back end of Benjamin McCliskey. McCliskey all over the back of Gareth. Now they're going to be coming up to a back marker. Is he going to move out of the way, or is he just going to stay there? Gazza's got to decide which way does he go. Oh, you got to be so careful under braking when you do that kind of thing. Yep, and the back marker moves right out of the way. It's David Favo. And David decides, well, look, there's no ways all three of us can get through this corner that quickly. 29 laps completed. 1 hour and 5. Spa-Francorchamps GT3. And remember, this is not the beginning of the season. It is season number 5. We are at round number 3. We are at Spa-Francorchamps, and this is brought to you by Second Gear Productions. So close. Oh, so close. Close that line off. Teammates. Line astern. Hobson's going to say, guys, if you're going to try and block me, I'm going to start pushing and shoving. And I think Hobson's realized that Benjamin McCliskey and Gaza are not going to fight one another. They're going to try and tow one another and push one another along. But Hobson, he's got the measure of them. He does not have a problem to say on top of these two teammates. There you see the three of them, the two similar looking livery cars of Gazza Williams and Benjamin McCliskey, with Martin Hobson in there behind that. They have gone past David Favo. That's the car that was momentarily in this very same clip. That's the first section that you see there of the double gauche. That's the second half of the double gauche. We're looking at 4th, 5th, and 6th positions. Well, not 6th position. 6 positions 13 seconds further back. We're looking at 3rd, 4th, and 5th as such. Now, if Hobson can get past Benjamin McCliskey, that's going to be an education, because then you've split the two teammates. They can't assist one another in any format or whatsoever. Should Martin Hobson get past Benjamin McCliskey, will Gazza back Martin Hobson up, back again into the clutches of Benjamin? Is it team orders, or is it every man for himself? I think Martin deserves the right to go one-on-one with both of them separately. So I don't think they will team up against him. Are they helping one another at the moment, as we see Favo just behind them? Are they helping one another at the moment? Yes, they are using the slipstream. Are they fighting one another? No, because that would slow them down and make it easier for Martin Hobson to launch an attack. And I think that might be what he's doing right now, getting a little bit of a gap, and then get the slingshot as you go up into the Kemmel Straight. Is he close enough, or is he too far back? He's done this for 30 laps already, so he'll have a pretty good idea. Oh, the teammates are all with it. Nope, it was definitely just a little bit too far back. So remember this guy, his name's Stefan Wessels. He's actually the leader. He's up, dusted, and disappeared ahead of Mr. Kieran. There's Kieran. Gazza finds himself a reasonable distance, probably not going to be in the same camera shot. Well, now there they come. That's that three-way battle that you see. That's Gazza Williams from Benjamin McCliskey, the first of the BMWs. That is Martin Hobson. That is in there directly behind him. And let's just sit quietly on board with Martin Hobson and see what it looks like to power your way around a Spa-Francorchamps in a GT3 car. So folks, we're back with you again, and you've just experienced one lap on board with Martin Hobson, 3/10 in the leading BMW. Behind that, it's not a trio, it's a quadruple Porsche, Stefan Wessels, Mr. Kieran Swart, Gaza Benjamin, and then Martin Hobson. And that is the closest battle that there is right now. Where's our blimp camera? Right above where they are. And, well, Gaza 2 down, Benjamin 3 up, Martin Hobson 1 down, Nick Klibbens 3 positions down as they work their way through Bruxelles, through Speaker's Corner. Now they will dive in there behind the trees. Down the hill they will go towards the double gauche. Let's watch and see what it looks like from the blimp. That's the entry. That's the exit of the double gauche. Going down towards Leifar. As you work your way down through the gears, Hobson holding sway. Don't forget about this man, he's not completely out of it. Nick Klibbens, anything goes wrong in front of him. Nick is in that 6th position, 13 seconds down. Only one BMW that's been able to beat out on him this stage of the fight. Everything else being a Porsches. Stuart Wyness, the second of the BMWs. So has he got past Jesse Wilkins? Yes, he has, because there's Jesse Wilkins. Has he got past Ben Altria? Yes, he has, because then is Altria there. And then Lawrence Vlieger is losing a bit of ground to them. Matthew Cheverton has now dropped from that highest position that he was in, which was 6th position. He started in 7th on the grid. He's now dropped down to that 11th position. He's the 3rd of the BMWs out there. But for once, he hasn't got somebody all over his back bumper. There's Ian Manners. Phil should just about come into shot now as well. There's Marky Mark. Now Mark's still got a bit of a gap between himself in that Ferrari ahead of the Porsche of a Tom Weston. Weston's got space behind him because Alwyn Sykes finds himself 9 seconds further back. You'll probably find when he's halfway through the corner we could pan back. No, not even in the same shot. Alwyn Sykes just outside of the top 15. But he's got space behind him. He doesn't have a problem whatsoever. Because Alwyn Sykes has got 17 seconds on Ulati. I remember Ulati was involved in that incident earlier on. And that's why he finds himself so far back. With some attendance there, shall we call it attendance, otherwise known as pressure, otherwise known as looking for a passing maneuver from Wesley Lewin and Jake. The man from Wales, flashing the lights in the Aztec Racing 944 Porsche, says, come on boys, you better get a move on. Either you guys shake it up a bit with your Audi and your Porsche. You can see the shape of the Audi's front lights, completely different looking front grille on that Audi as they work their way up towards the Kemmel Straight. Into the Kemmel Straight they go. Jake wants to have a go. Jake is ready to get into the mix. You can't go 3 abreast. Oh, they almost went 3 abreast. You can't do that going into Lakecombe. That's definitely going to turn to tears. Side by side as they work their way through the corner. And I do believe that there could be a change up there in positions. They still haven't given one another any space whatsoever. It's going to be Jake ahead of Ulati. Jordan Bibiot finds himself a long way further back from there. But I suppose what we got to do is we actually really need to go back to the man of the moment in that 5th position, Martin Hobson. Hobson still in behind Gareth Gaza. Not letting him get away. Now Gaza has actually lost a little bit of ground to Benjamin. There you can see not as close as what they normally are, and that's what's happening behind him. Martin Hobson getting a little bit on the aggressive side as they come towards the end of the Kemmel Straight and into Lake Car. He's got to put the pressure on. If he doesn't pressurize, they'll just stay line astern in the Benzie Smith Photos next gen Porsches, and they'll just hold him out all day long. So he's got to put the pressure on them. Matthew Cheverton on the tail end of Lawrence Vliega. Wow. Cheverton, that swallowed so much pressure earlier on. He's got his second breath. We're 1 hour 16 into this 2-hour race. And, well, for those of you who've just joined us, I think you've worked out where we are. The iconic Spa-Francorchamps. Just look at the names of those corners. If you've never heard, Laissance, Alrouge, Radion, Kemmel, Lake Calm, Bruxelles, Leifar, Campus, Stavelot, Blanchimont. I mean, that is like iconic stuff. It doesn't get any better. GT3s that we are watching here today. This is round number 3 that we are watching and brought to you by NXTGEN Racing, because NXTGEN have numerous different series that they are running, this being one of the NXTGEN Racing series that is going on right now, this being the GT3s. Next week this time we'll be having a 2-hour on the exact same circuit, and that will be with the prototypes. That's going to be fantastic to see that one. We've still got 25 cars that's in there. We've lost out on Nigel Stock. We've lost out on Gargo Balai, James Smaggersgale, and then Matthew McBride. He has stopped as well. Everybody else is still out there. And, oh, who's that? Nick Klibbens. Remember, I said Nick Klibbens. Now, Nick Klibbens went in very, very early. I think it was on lap 13, if I remember correctly. And we thought at that stage of the fight, maybe it's a case of just getting a bit of open ground in front of you. The pit window is open. Make use of it. Come out, get ground in front of you, and away you go. It now appears as if that is not the case. He must have had a bit of damage on the motor car, was forced to go in for the stop on, I think it was lap number 13, and now he makes a second stop. Now, he'll probably be the lead car of everybody that has made pit stops so far. Well, 2 pit stops. Yes, he is the leading 2-stopper. Is Nick Klibbens ahead of Jake Pitt. And then Jordan Bibiot also having done 2 stops. Sean Skitter has not had a good one. He's been 3 times into the pit, so he must have had an additional amount of damage on that motor car, hence not being able to get himself higher up. Alwyn Sykes on Nick Klibbens. Half a second is Alwyn Sykes up 11 positions. Nick Klibbens down 12 positions. That means when they started this race, there was 23 cars between them on the grid. Nick has dropped down towards the clutches of Alwyn. Alwyn's going to take that opportunity. He's the second quickest or second highest rated Ferrari out on circuit. So that's looking pretty good for Alwyn Sykes as far as the Ferraris go. Nick Klibbens having done his second stop already, so there's definitely no chance that he's going to go back into the pits. Is there a possibility, just maybe, that we have a situation where in this 2-hour race these cars have to go for more than 1 stop? Is that a possibility? Well, we're only going to know if it actually happens, because I'm not too sure. I wasn't given information before the time as to what the loads were in terms of the amount of fuel that they allowed to have on board. As we ride on board with Martin Hobson. So Second Gear Productions back with you again, and that's Martin Hobson, Gaza and Benjamin that are having that fight. But let's go from the top end down as we 1 hour 21 into this race. That man, Stefan Wessels, and he has just eased himself away from everybody and everything. You don't just drive away from a Kieran Smart that easily. Not at all. And if you do ride away from Kieran, you got to be quick. Benjamin McCliskey. Gareth's right in there behind him. Martin's in the game as well. All three of them together. Then it'll be a completely different battle there on out. There comes Stuart Wyness. 20 seconds further back. But Stuart, remember, he was making those passing maneuvers. He looked like he was quite comfortable to make those passing maneuvers as well. And the reason being that he was notably quicker than the leading Audi of Jesse Wilkins. Jesse has managed to now get away from Matthew Cheverton. Matthew back up into that 8th position. He's not giving up. Is Matthew? He's having the ride of his life tonight. Matthew Cheverton from Lawrence Vliega. Ben Altria, Ian Manners, Phil McDougall, one of two Mercedes-Benz out there, Tom Weston, Mark Sykes. Clibbins should be, nope, he's not even in the same shot, is a long way back. Nick Clibbins, can he make up a whole heap of ground from there? Let's have a look at what the last lap times were. Well, Clibbins 2 minutes 18.9. He's pushing on. He's within 3-4-5 tenths of the front 5. So that's pretty ayoba. Nothing wrong with that. Can he catch up to Mark Sykes? Well, he's 11 seconds off Mark Sykes, but he did take the better part of 2.5 seconds out of Mark Sykes. Nick Clibbins running in that 15th position. So should he be able to... Oh, Martin Hobson in the pit lane. It's a possibility that everybody's going to be having to make 2 stops. If that's the case, it turns this whole thing completely upside down. Because then that means all the big boys have got to go back in again. So Nick Clibbins, notably quicker than Marky Mark in the 666 Ferrari. The Next Gen Racing man. Does a lot of work in the background to make this series work. Stuart Wyness has now gotten past Martin Hobson. He's going to go on his way down towards Eau Rouge. Where is Martin? Martin's still standing in the pits. Jesse Wilkins now going to work his way past. There's Martin. And yeah, well, Jesse Wilkins is going to go past him as well. He's already down into Eau Rouge. Martin Hobson now coming out of the pits. There's Ben Altria that's going to be right in there behind him. Oh, Altria almost got the run on him at that point. I see one of the comments that was made by somebody on YouTube saying there's racing that's going on out on circuit, and we're looking at what's happening in the pits. The pits is a very important part of it. And we have to keep tabs on what's going on in the pits as well. Because at the end of the day, that can be very decisive to the outcome of the race. So to the gent that thought that we're missing out a whole lot of racing out there. Yes, we were missing out on a whole lot of racing out there. But for a good reason. To keep tabs on exactly what was going on in the pit lane. And see exactly how that has and has not worked. Let's have a look at the gains and the losses. Stefan Wessels 7 up, Kieran 4 up, Benjamin 4 up, Gaza from the front. Yep, there we go. Back into the pits they go again. Stefan Wessels going for his 2nd pit stop. What does Kieran do? Kieran goes straight through. What does Benjamin do? Benjamin goes through, and so does Gaza. What does Stuart Wyness do? I remember Stuart's got 22 seconds between himself and the front 4. So is he going to be able to battle with them? No, not really. He's a long way further back. But he's got a fair amount of space between himself and everybody and everything else out there as well. He's going to go straight through, does Stuart Wyness. So he's probably going to hold out till just a little bit closer towards the end. Stefan Wessels on his way out of the pits. Where will he recover? There is on the pit exit, and he's ahead of Stewart as well, so he's got open ground in front of him. In fact, 15 seconds of open ground ahead of a Stefan Wessels from Sean Skitter. So Stefan Wessels is going to have to get on the gas, because Stuart Wyness is on a run at the moment, and Stuart actually wants to have a look around the outside of Stefan Wessels. Is Stefan going to play safe? Well, he's squeezing Stefan towards the inside. Says to Stefan Wessels, I don't care your name, Stefan Wessels. My name is Stuart Wyness, and I'm faster than you right now. Seeing that you've just taken on a whole bunch of fuel, and you're going to find yourself a little bit slower. So let's have a look at the number of pit stops that's now been done. You're going to find that the leading man on 2 pit stops is in fact Stefan Wessels and then Martin Hobson. So Hobson's got 2.5 seconds between himself and Matthew Cheverton, and he keeps that gap open once and if he gets to the back of Matthew. He can then use that opportunity to then go into the pit lane and carry on further from there. So that will give him a bit of an opportunity. Lawrence Vlieger just a little bit further down in there behind Jake. Lovely sticker job on Jake's car. Love the look of that Porsche. Let's have a look at that one. There's Jake. Just look what that Porsche looks like. Yum, yum. Nothing fancy, nothing smart, nothing shiny. Just gets out there and gets the job done. Talking about getting the job done, Stefan Wessels has got to do a job on Stuart Wyness, because having come out of the pits, Stuart pressured him, got past him, and well, is Stuart going to go into... No, he overshoots, and they're going to make a little bit of contact. Luckily, they don't make too much contact, and the South African works his way around the outside of the man in the BMW, Stuart Wyness from the UK and Ireland. In there behind. Well, he's not worried about the fact that Stefan Wessels' name's on the outside of that motor car. Really doesn't faze him. Matthew's gone in. Ben Altria's gone in as well. Ian's going to go straight through. What does Phil do? Phil goes straight through. Marky Mark goes straight through as well. Next man to come through behind that will be Nick. Nick's not going to go into the pit side. He doesn't need to. He's done 2 stops already, so he should be done and dusted with that. Stuart Wyness. Stefan Wessels thinking, what's going on here? Stuart, you're all over me like a rash. Doing a great job. Matthew on the way out of the pits. He's in 12th position now. That's his second pit stop done and dusted, as we watch Stuart Wyness on the back end of Stefan Wessels. That's the biggest battle out there right now, apart from a Gaza on the back of Benjamin. Now, we've seen lots of footage of them already. The fastest Audi man out there, Jesse Wilkins. Multi-talented, multi-colored from the UK and Ireland. Martin Hobson. But remember, he is 16 seconds further back. But remember, Martin has done his second stop. Stefan has done his second stop. Kieran, Benjamin, and Gaza need to go in and make sure that they come out ahead of Martin Hobson. Now, if Martin Hobson puts in a couple of quick laps now, let's just look, see what kind of times he is doing. 2 minutes 18.3, 2 minutes 18.2, not enough. I think Benjamin and Gaza and Kieran will be able to go into the pits if they don't have any hassles in the pits. The leading Audi is on his way in. If Kieran and Benjamin and Gaza don't have a problem in the pits, they should be able to come out directly behind Stefan Wessels. And that would then put Martin Hobson probably then into that 5th position. Remember, we've still got 29 minutes to go. 2 minutes 18.7. McCluskey's doing a good job at the front end. 2 minutes 18.2. Just a smidgen quicker than Stefan Wessels. Jesse's on his way out of the pits. He says, had enough of this stuff in the pit lane. Let's get out there and let's do that last 28 minutes. That's Nick Gibbons that's going to come through behind him. That's actually quite significant because Jesse in the leading Audi has now done both of his pit stops. Nick has done both of his pit stops. So that means that Jesse Wilkins finds himself in a favorable position as opposed to the 5th of the Porsches out there, ahead of Nick. Interesting stuff as it plays itself out. A big thanks to all of our sponsors. And we're back on circuit with you. Second Gear Productions, Gary Gazer Fleming joining you here this evening. Stuart Ryness has now gone into the pits. Kieran Smart still leads them out. Who still needs to go in? Who has already been in? Stefan, Benjamin, Gazer, Martin. As I predicted, that is how they're going to line up from Stuart and Jesse. Nick ahead there of Matthew. Phil that's going in, so Lawrence Vliega will busy moving up there one position, as does Ian Manners, Ben Altria. So that's where the difference comes in. So Kieran's still got to go in. Now, can Kieran Strott come out in front of Stefan Wessels? Personally, with that size gap, I don't think so. Let's ride on board and see, does he go in now? Surely Kieran's going to go into the pits. Yes, he does. Through the pit entry he goes. Ooh, very close to the wall. Stows it right down, bang, onto the rev limiter. Now just look how long it feels as you work your way down that pit lane. Stefan Wessels, 1 kilometer behind him, 900 meters. 800 meters, 700 meters. Where is Stefan Wessels? Stefan Wessels coming through to that last complex of corners. I'm pretty sure Stefan's going to go to the front. Kieran's still there in the pits. Where is Stefan Wessels? Here he comes. There is Stefan Wessels, and Kieran is still in the pit lane. There he's going to be coming out now. So Stefan Wessels recovers the front end of the field. There comes Kieran behind him. And they have now blown away, blasted away, disappeared away from the rest of the pack. The rest of the pack being led out by that man, Benjamin McCluskey. Mr. Consistency. He got past Gareth Gazer. earlier on stayed ahead of him. They stayed together for a long time. Gazza now, after the second pit stop, has lost just a bit of ground, so they can't really affect, assist or hinder one another. But luckily for them, Martin Hobson has lost out a bit of ground. Hobson and Stuart Wyness, there's a big gap between them. 17 seconds from Martin Hobson back to Stuart Wyness. One hour 37 into today's race. 2 hours of racing for the boys tonight. Next Gen Season 5, round number 3 of GT3, coming to you from the iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. If ever you get a chance, go on to Google, type in Spa-Francorchamps track history, and go and have a look at the history of this circuit and what has happened there. Some of the highlights, some of the tragedies, some of the changes that have been done to that circuit in time. And I promise you, you'll be so tied into it, you'll just sit and keep on reading, and you're going to get a late night, because there's just so much heritage in this circuit. From the front end down, with 21.5 minutes to go, Stefan Wessels, Kieran Smart, Benjamin McCliskey. Gazza is going to go past the back marker. Well, not yet. Papa Constantiniao is still ahead of Gazza, and that's going to create just a slightly bigger gap between the two teammates. Gazza's got to get past as quick as he possibly can. That he's going to do, because the next man in there is not that far behind. There he comes, Martin Hobson in the leading BMW. No pressure for that man whatsoever. The Yorkshire Mafia from the United Kingdom, Martin Hobson. Stuart Wyness, the second of the BMWs out there, but 17 seconds further back, which is quite fine if you think he's got 5 seconds on Jesse, who's got 3 seconds on Nick. Matthew's not going to be able to do much about them. He's 11 seconds off. Lawrence should come into the background. There is Lawrence. There's Ian. There's Ben Altria. And then our Mercedes-Benz man, Phil McDougall. Coming down the straight there, Tom Weston. Mark Sykes rounding out the top 15. And there's a big gap behind Mark, so no problem behind Mark. It's all wide open spaces. Lost out on a couple of drivers, unfortunately. Matthew McBride, James Magersgale, Gergo Belay, Nigel Stock. He's out as well. David Favo is the last man out and still circulating on a circuit. We haven't had any accidents for quite a long time. Very few, a couple of off circuits here and there, but in terms of major accidents, now that the guys have opened up with a bit of gaps between them, we don't see a lot of accidents happening at all. The last one that actually had a crash was this man, Wesley Lewin. Well, it wasn't even a crash, it just went off. David Favre, that brings up the tail end of the field. David Farber is South African. And for some other reason, he just went and stopped. Now, is that a possibility that's very strange? That's very strange. I mean, you don't go and stop at a point where you're doing 220 kilometers an hour because you lose out an immense amount of time like that. I thought that maybe he was thinking of going back to the pits, but that was not the case. Phil McDougall right in there with that Mercedes-Benz, not losing out on the draft there from the second of the Audis, Ben Altria. 17.5 minutes to go in this 2-hour race. Porsche, the decisive factor in this one. Stefan Kieran, Benjamin and Gareth all going for the Porsche. Martin Hobson and Stuart Wyness doing a lovely job in the Beamers. The Audi, well, it just doesn't seem to be right there on the BOP, the balance of performance. On this specific circuit, it might be the car of choice on the next circuit that they go to, but definitely not for this one. And Jesse Wilkins doing the best that he possibly can. 2 minutes 18s all the way through to Martin Hobson. Martin slightly slower on the last lap, but you'll probably find that he was making some passing maneuvers on back markers, therefore just a smidgen slower. A low 2 minute 19 is still a very good time, but you can see Stefan Wessels is now really in the groove. Stefan Wessels putting in some very quick laps. 2 minutes 18.166, is that his best time to date? 2 minutes 17.956. The fastest man is Mr. Kieran Smart. 2 minutes 17.694. So if that's the fastest lap time, then that 2 minute 18.1 of Stefan Wessels is then a very impressive time, as he's already pulled away quite a bit at the front end of the field as Stefan Wessels, making it look nice and easy as he works his way ahead of Kieran. Benjamin would love to be part of that, believe you me, and Benjamin's got a 3.55 A rating. Kieran has got a 4.26 A rating in iRacing. Gaza 4.99. I think that is the highest I have pretty much ever seen. I don't know what's the highest rating that you can get. I'm sure it goes higher than that. But that man, massive high rating, the highest rated in iRacing in this specific race of everybody that is out there. Gareth Gaza, still 10 seconds between himself and Martin Hobson. You can see his teammate in front of him, it just can't get to him. Porsche still sounding very sweet and smooth. Cutting it nice and tight up against the wall. 1.26 seconds, the gap between them. Slightly quicker. He got 100th coming out of the corner. He's got 100th going through a Rouge. He's got 100th coming out into the Kimmel Straight. He's got another 100th down the Kimmel Straight. Can he close up under braking? Nope, not at all. Towards the end of the straight, didn't close up there at all. So I think where they are is pretty much where they're going to be. Ian Manners, is he in with an opportunity to be able to get a top 10 position? Remember, there's only 13.5 minutes to go. 2-minute 20.1, a 2-minute 20.0, so taking a 10th out of Lawrence. Matthew still in the top 10, in the 19s. Only the front four that have broken the 18 mark, well, broken the 19 mark into the 18s. Ooh, Ian getting a bit of a run. That's not a bad run on a Lawrence Vliega. Lawrence is going to have to close that line off. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised if Ian goes for the dive. Yes, he does. He goes for the dive under braking. Very similar on the brake markers. Make sure they don't make contact. But Ian Manners fancies his opportunity. Porsche versus Porsche. Through Bruxelles. Down the hill towards Speaker Corner. Work your way through the gearbox. Up into fourth. Up into fifth. Back down to fourth. Nice and smooth. Flat box from here on out. Up into fifth. Just about running to the edge of the rev limit at that point. We're riding on board with Ian Manners on the back end of a Lowlands Vliega. And that for the last of the coveted top 10 positions. 11 3/4 minutes to go. There was a 10th in it on the last lap. There's 4 tenths in it between the two of them right now as we ride on board with Ian Manners. Ooh, that was a big handful at 200 plus kilometers an hour. A massive handful of opposite lock there by Ian. So he knows the options and possibilities are starting to wean away for him to get into that top 10. If he doesn't do it very soon, it ain't gonna happen. Ben Altria's right in there behind him as well. So Ian's going to be careful because if he goes for a dive move and it doesn't work, he could actually then drop down behind the second of the top two Audis. Ben's actually closer to Lawrence. Or should I say, Ben's actually closer to Ian than what Ian has felt comfortable with for a period of time. The 24 car sandwiched in the middle there. Ben Altria in there behind Ian Manners. Ian 8 positions up. Lawrence up 4 positions. Lawrence in that 10th position. It is kind of a status, if you want to call it that. There's a sense of achievement if you can be in the top 10 in a race like this. So Lawrence Vliega is not going to let that one go very easy. He's going to hold on tight to make sure that he doesn't drop out of that coveted top 10. Nothing much in it at this stage. Less than 10 minutes to go. The man from the UK, Ian Manners. Lawrence Vliega just in front of him. Ben Altria just behind him. Going back to Gareth, he's still 1 second, or the better end of 1 second behind Benjamin. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything much more than just hold on to the back of Benjamin. You might find that for advertising purposes, the NXTGEN teammates might try and go across the line alongside one another. They're probably on Discord together, having a little natter about how it's working out. And you might find that they then decide, hey, let's try and go across the line side by side. Let's just not swap positions. Stefan Wessels, the lead man. The last man that had an incident in this race was in fact Luke Jones. Oh, he just overran it. 2 minutes 20.9. 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 2 minutes And that happens very, very easily if you overrun that corner and then he dives it from there into the pits, seeing he's lost that momentum. I think it's time to go on board with Ben Altria. Oh, it doesn't get any closer than that. Let's just hope nobody takes anybody out. Ben on Ian, on Lawrence. 10th, 11th and 12th. The last of the coveted top 10 positions. 7.5 minutes to go. Gaza closed up 2/10 onto the back of Benjamin. Formation flying by the teammates representing NXTGEN Racing. Luke Jones into the pit lane as we saw earlier on. This is the closest battle out there still. Ian from Ben. They almost made a bit of contact there. Lawrence has actually managed to get just a little bit away from Ian. Well, given the amount of space there was between them before, that would feel like a massive gap for Lawrence Vliega at this stage of the fight off Ian Manners. It already seems quite nimble through that section of the circuit. See a lot of rubber that's gotten stuck on the side of the Porsche of Lawrence Vliega. These Gumball tires. A lot of the rubber being chewed off them in a long race like this. Probably on the third set of tires right now. Up the hill, using all the circuit that you can possibly get your hands on, trying to make sure you carry as much speed as possible. Look at the barrier on the right hand side, see the white line on the road, use that to set up your braking marker. Lawrence Vliega actually pulling away from Ian in the final stages, protecting that 10th position. Actually running some very, very smooth lines. There is Lawrence Vliega. There you see Ian just a little bit further back, almost on the outside of that camera shot. Benatria right there with him. It's more now a battle of Ben and Ian than Lawrence, because while they're fighting one another, Lawrence has just moved a little bit away into the future. You can see still only the well, Nick Clibbins has done a 18.8, so Nick's pretty much getting a hoof on with that one as well. So who's got the highest speed anywhere on the circuit? What do we see? 261s, a lot of 262s. Wesley Lewin and George and Bibio. 265 by Kiron, 266 by Gaza. So the highest top speed is Gareth Williams, affectionately known as Gaza. 266 kilometers an hour. He managed to get that one very neatly sorted out. And look at that. 3.4 Class A, 3.6 Class A, 2.6 Class A. That's massive licenses that you see there. You don't get to those numbers very easily whatsoever. And that's on the public sectors that you're busy racing, to be able to get those ratings. Let's look at the I rating. There you can see the I rating as well. So, who's the naughty boys? Oh, 200 points against Stefan Wessels in almost 2 hours. So he's used every single thing that he's got to hand, make that 201. So he's been cutting corners somewhere along the line, lap for lap, 51 laps in. So if you've got 200 points against you at one point at a time for going off, and you've done 50 laps, that means 4 out of the total number of corners is where you nipping, cutting and tucking all the time. Phil McDougall on the back of Marky Mark. That Mercedes-Benz just doesn't want to say no about having a look at the back end of the Ferrari of Marky Mark Sykes. 14th and 15th position, 3.5 minutes to go. So where is our leader right now? Oh, well, that's going to be pretty interesting. I think they're going to do one more lap after this one. I cannot see that they will not be forced to do yet another lap. Stefan Wessels closing up on the back end of Georgian Bibiart. You'll probably catch him, quite possibly you'll catch him still in this lap, because Kieran's not that far behind. There comes Kieran. Stefan coming through. You'll probably find before the 2 hours is up, he's going to go across the start-finish line without too much difficulty, and that will then be his last lap for Stefan Wessels. Yep, 1 minute 15 still to go, so he will get across the start-finish line before that 2 hours is up, but we don't know which way the computer has been set, so let's just play safe and stick it out there with Stefan Wessels, and let's see, does he have to do yet another lap? Yep, it does look like it. There's the white flag you see being waved on the side, so he's got one more lap to go. This is the swan song, the last lap for the leading man. That's the gap after 2 hours. Benjamin gonna work his way down the hill now, staying ahead of Gaza. Martin Hobson, I think it must, I was almost going to say Red 5, but Red 5 is iconic to a specific racing driver in Formula 1. But Martin's pretty much held on to that 5th position all day long. It was never going to be beaten out as the leading BMW. Stewart's had a very good race as well. Stuart Wyness, second of the BMWs, very racy, not scared to try and make passing maneuvers at all. I think if there was a way that you could count how many passing maneuvers have been made by different people, you're going to find that Stewart has done a couple of amazing little passes to get to where he is. 7 seconds further back, still coming down towards that complex of corners. It's Jesse Wilkins, Nick the Sharkman just behind him. Matthew will be pretty chuffed, although he's 15 seconds further back. He's third of the BMWs out there. In fact, there is only 3 BMWs left. We've lost out on Nigel Gargo and Matthew McBride. So there is only 3 of them still out there. Lawrence Vlieger rounds out the top 10. And it's going to be checkered flag time coming up now for Stefan Wessels. He'll be super chuffed with that one. Stefan Wessels takes the checkered flag as he comes across the line. Here comes Kieran Smart. first and second positions. Next up will be Benjamin and Gaza. As I said, are they going to do some close formation flying across the line? Yes, they did. The two teammates, Benjamin McCliskey and Gareth Gaza Williams, they work their way around the last section. Martin Hobson comes through to take up his checkered flag. He'll be super chuffed with that one. Good drive there by Martin. I think he'll be one of my driver of the day nominations. Stuart, well done, buddy. Well done. Stuart Wyness coming through there. Jesse Wilkins, good race. The leading Audi. Nick Clibbons flashes the lights as he comes across the line. Matthew Cheverton, his best race so far in this season of a GT3. There's no doubt about it. By far his best result by Matthew Cheverton. Lawrence Vlieger comes up towards the line. He's managed to stay ahead of Tom Weston. Tom, in turn, has had the attention of Ben Altria in that 12th position, but Ben has managed to hold on from Ian Manners, and there comes Phil, the leading Mercedes-Benz. Mark Sykes comes across the line. He finishes his 2 hours of racing. Jake Pitt, the man from Wales. Still love that sticker job on that motor car. Jake comes through. Gonna be a long way back to Alwyn Sykes in the 17th position. Second of the Ferraris. Ulati comes into the pit lane. He says, I've had enough. I can't anymore. I am now just so tired. I can't. Wesley Lewin, and that then wraps it up. Everybody has come across the line. Wow, what an amazing session that was. And 2 hours of racing that you have just seen on this iconic circuit, Spa-Francorchamps. As I said, go and Google it, go and have a look, see, go and check it out, and go and read up on that history, because it is utterly amazing stuff what has happened here. The CSA Porsche, the South African man, coming along and taking away from Track Scotland, Mr. Kieran Swart. The two privateers, well, they are the NXTGEN teammates of Benjamin McCliskey and Gareth Gaz Williams, ahead of the PRT entry there of Martin Hobson. That I would say Martin is my driver of the day, because he really did well. And another nomination for driver of the day has got to be Stuart Wyness. So one a hell of a drive by Stuart Wyness, and getting himself just outside of the top 5. Jesse Wilkins, Nick dropping down eventually to that 8th position, having gone in on lap 13 and then having to go in again, and those extra pit stops is what cost him. Matthew Cheverton, his best result so far for the season, ahead of Lawrence Vlieger, Tom Weston, Ben Altria, Ian Manners, Phil McDougall, and then Mark. Mark is the last man that makes it through there in the top 15. That pretty much wraps up our top 15. Let's just go a little bit further down. Jake, Alwyn, Wesley, Jordan, Ulati from Sean, and then everybody else was one lap down from there. So folks, that pretty much wraps it up. 2 hours of racing that we've had. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you, and look forward to seeing you back at Spa-Francorchamps the exact same time, exactly a week from now, and that is going to be for the prototypes. A big thanks to all of our sponsors. Well, folks, that wraps up GT3 Season 5, round number 3 from Spa-Francorchamps. And it's been an honor, a pleasure to be here with you. I look forward to seeing you guys exactly 1 week from now when we come back to this circuit for round number 3 of the Protos. From my side, Gary Fleming, Second Year Productions, thanks for joining us. And, well, what can I say? Cheers, folks. I'll see you in a week from now. Cheers, everybody.